Hello, good day and welcome to this presentation. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, you're missing a lot. Hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so each time we upload video you get it straight from YouTube. So today we'll be looking at breathing as a whole today and the mechanisms of breathing. So the lungs are sealed in pleural membranes inside the chest cavity. At the bottom of the cavity is a large flat muscle known as the diaphragm. During inhalation, the diaphragm contracts and the rib cage rises up. This expands the volume of the chest cavity. The chest cavity is sealed, so this creates a partial vacuum inside the cavity. Atmospheric pressure fills the lungs as air rushes into the breathing spaces. You can see the rib cage as it rises during inhalation. Often Often exhaling is a passive event. When the rib cage lowers and the diaphragm relaxes, pressure in the chest cavity is greater than atmospheric pressure. Air is pushed out of the lungs. You can see air exhale, the rib cage lowers. Breathing, or call it mechanics of breathing. That inspiration is an active process which occurs due to contraction of inspiratory muscles, whereas normal expiration is a passive phenomenon that occurs due to elastic recall of the lungs. Contraction of inspiratory muscles expand the thoracic cavity that leads to decreased intrapleural pressure. Drop in intrapleural pressure helps the lungs to expand. The expansion of lungs decreases intrapulmonary pressure to sub-atmospheric level, due to which air from atmosphere is sucked into the lungs. Now, respiratory muscles. We're going to be looking into the muscles responsible for respiration. Main muscles for inspiration, which is the diaphragm and external intercostal muscles of the expiration, the internal intercostal muscle, the pectoral muscles, and the abdominal muscles. You can see my diagram here. Representing the muscles, showing the muscles here, respiratory muscles. Now we have the muscles of inspiration here. As you can see with me, here we have the sternocleidomastoid muscles. I have the scalens here. I have the pectoralis minor here. We have the external intercostal muscles here and the diaphragm. And is a curve of the diaphragm. Comes this way. This is where the diaphragm relaxes here. And see where we have the clavicular cord here, and we have the internal intercostal muscles here and the abdominal muscles here, muscles of expiration. And the clavicular cord, internal intercostal, abdominal muscles are muscles of expiration, while the sternocleidomastoid muscles, scalens, pectoralis minor, external intercostals, and the diaphragm here are the muscles of inspiration. The diaphragm. The diaphragm is the main muscle of inspiration, which is a skeletal muscle. Inflation of the lungs is caused primarily by contraction of diaphragm. Contraction of diaphragm expands thoracic cavity into two ways. The diaphragm is dome-shaped and attached to the lower 6 ribs and the xiphoid process of the sternum. Thus, when it contracts, the dome is flattened and abdominal contents are pushed down so that the thoracic cavity enlarges in its rhestiocoidal extent. The vertical diameter of thoracic cage increases, and contraction of diaphragm also pushes the rib cage outward that enlarges the thoracic cavity in its anterior, posterior, and lateral planes. Now the diaphragm. This is a presentation of the diaphragm during inspiration and expiration. You can see it here by my right hand side. We have the inspiration and the organs of the respiration, which are the lungs. Here you can see the trachea. You see the lungs here. During inspiration they are more open or expand, while during expiration here they are like shrink or normal size. While the diaphragm is, you can see during inspiration the diaphragm is flat, while during expiration the diaphragm is curved, relaxing at the or directly the heart is sitting on it right here. External intercostal muscles. The external intercostal muscles are present obliquely between ribs in forward and downward direction. Their attachment to lower ribs is more forward from the axis of rotation. Therefore, contraction of external intercostal muscle raises the lower rib adequately. Contraction of external intercostal muscle has two effects. Bucket handle effect increases the transverse diameter of the thoracic cavity. Pump handle effect increases the vertical diameter of the thoracic cage, though anterior-posterior diameter also increases to some extent. So the two effects are the bucket handle effect and the pump handle effect. External intercostal muscles are present obliquely between ribs in forward and downward direction. Their attachment to lower ribs is more downward from the axis of rotation. Therefore, contraction of external intercostal muscles raises the lower rib adequately. Contraction of external intercostal muscles has two effects. Bucket handle effect increases the transverse diameter of the thoracic cavity. Pump handle effect increases the vertical diameter of the cage, through anterior posterior diameter also increases to some extent. Effect of ribs and sternum. Movement on thoracic volume. You can see the effect of rib and sternum during breathing here. This is the vertical, this is on the sternum. The lateral increase in volume, and then you have the body of the sternum here. Have the body of the sternum here, while on the vertebral column, the rib holding the sternum in position, just anterior increase in volume. You still have the sternum there. You have inspiration and expiration. During expiration, the rib cage moves down and in. Diaphragm relaxes and moves up. Pressure in lungs increases and air is pushed out. While during expiration, the rib cage moves up and out. Diaphragm contracts and moves down. Pressure in lungs decreases and air comes rushing in. Accessory muscles of inspiration. I have the scalens, the sternocleidomastoids muscle, neck and back muscles. Muscles of expiration. I have abdominal muscles, the internal intercostal muscles, the neck and back muscles. I have inspiration here. Can go through it detailedly, and expiration. Now, pressure in the thoracic cavity. Pressure in the thoracic cavity or pressure in thoracic cavity. Changes in different pressure in the thoracic cavity that result in breathing are intrapleural pressure, transmural pressure, alveolar pressure. Those are the basic pressure in the thoracic cavity. Now, intrapleural pressure. The pressure in the pleural space is the interpleural pressure. The pleural space is the space between the lungs and the chest wall. That is the visual space between the viscerals and the parietal pleura. The normal value in quiet breathing, the intrapleural pressure during expiration is about 2.5 to 4 millimeters of mercury, and during inspiration is about 6 millimeters of mercury. However, during forced pressure, intrapleural pressure becomes positive, and during forced inspiration, it becomes further negative, maybe up to 30 millimeters of mercury. Now, the significance of intrapleural pressure is that there's loss of normal intrapleural pressure, resulting in lungs collapse and barrel-shaped chest. And the transmural pressure. Transmural pressure is the pressure difference between a air or between a airway or across the lungs wall. Transmural pressure. Transmural pressure is the pressure difference across a airway or across the lung wall. Keeps the lung inflated and prevent the lungs from collapsing. Alveolar pressure. The alveolar pressure is the pressure inside the alveolar. Change in alveolar pressure moves air in and out of the lungs. During inspiration, alveolar pressure decreases, that sucks air into the lungs, and during expiration, the alveolar pressure increases, that moves the air from the lungs. Normal value during inspiration is approximately 1 millimeters of mercury, and during expiration 1 plus 1 millimeters of mercury. Now, lung compliance. You have ability to stretch or recall. Compliance here. The vital capacity. You have emphysema there, can set in abnormal state. You have emphysema. We have normal state, and can also have fibrosis. So we're going to stop here for today, and then we'll take our assignment for the day. Ensure you carry out this practical because it ensures your lung capacity or status, how healthy your lung is, and how you can hold your air. So we're going to do this right away. So I want you to check up with what is on your screen now. That is, check your lung and oxygen level. If you can hold your breath from point A to point B, then you are in safe zone. So just wash and then make sure you go through it and then carry out the exercise. We start now. I hope you were able to hold your breath from point A to point B. That was awesome. Thank you very much. Make sure you stay tuned to this channel. If you haven't subscribed, please hit the subscribe button and stay tuned to this channel. And so we'll be giving you more health videos and more videos as it concerns your health and your body. Thank you for watching. Thank you.